Pochade boxes are the ultimate tool for the plein air artist, anybody that likes to paint outside, and today we're going to be looking at two great models, the SoHo Pochade Box and the SoHo Scout Pochade Box, and we're going to talk about the features and benefits of each just for you. So let's talk about what makes them similar. Okay, they both come with this beautiful mahogany finish. There's a brass plated hardware. They're both great, obviously, for outdoor painting. They come with carrying handles and straps if that's how you choose to travel with them. Also, they both work with our SoHo tripod. This is a heavy-duty tripod, professional tripod, and they can both attach to them so you can stand while painting, but they can also work without a tripod. As you can see, they sit right on a table. This Scout box will sit right on your lap. They'll actually both sit on your lap. And they are both fantastic for acrylic, oil, and pastel.
The original SoHo Pochade, though, is also great for watercolor.
And what is the main difference between these two that makes this particularly good for watercolor?
So this one will actually lay flat. So with your watercolor, you don't want to be painting vertical because then the water's just going to drip down. So this one will allow you to paint flat in plein air.
It's surprising how versatile they are. So I guess let's just go into some of the differences. So let's start right now with the Scout box. This is the smaller of the two. This one weighs 5.4 pounds, okay? The SoHo box over here weighs 6.17 pounds, okay? Not a huge difference in weight. This one weighs about 3/4 of a pound less. However, I want you to be wary about that because just because there's a small difference in weight, this can hold a lot more materials, and when you have the space, you tend to fill it, so it can get pretty heavy pretty quick.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I really love big purses. The problem is that then it becomes a Mary Poppins bag and you just throw everything in there. So if you have more space, you're probably going to use it, which will then make it heavier.
So let's take a look inside and see what some of the differences are. All right, so right here, you can see that you have your attachment for your canvas panels. They both accept panels and stretch canvas. Keep in mind that the Scout version will accept canvas under tension, a slightly different way of holding that canvas in place, but it works just fine. So in terms of panel size, for the Scout, this will accommodate a 9x12. And that's closed. So if you wanted to put that panel in here and then close it, which I have to release that Sherlock, it will close with the panel inside it, acting as a wet canvas carrier for the one, which is really nice.
You can actually put two panels depending on how thick they are.
Right. If you look here, there's some channels that you can see that you can put the different panels in there. And of course, if you wanted to paint larger, you can, because you can just change the orientation. These loosen and slide in and out, change directions, so that you can accommodate varying sizes and getting a little bit higher with some of the taller in a portrait mode canvas. So looking again at the differences between the two, the sides of this sort of restrain it from getting much wider in terms of the width, but you have the full length and then some that you can put your canvas or panel on this. So 18 inches high, but as wide as you want, more or less. So keep that in mind. You might also notice some accoutrement in here. This is going to be your full studio on wheels, if you will. This right here is actually a paper towel holder that you can attach and will drop down. There's also on the back here, attached by magnets, a brush stand. So you can really set up shop. I mean, you can hold your brushes, your mediums, and a whole roll of paper towels. This all comes in this one SoHo Pochade box. Now, moving back over here to the Scout box, this will flip out to give you a little bit more space. You can see that there's a rubber piece here that will keep that off your palette in case you still have some paint on there, and hold your brushes. Both have palettes. The Scout box has two different ones. You have a clear plastic palette and a wooden palette underneath. And what we've done here is we've actually put a piece of gray disposable palette paper underneath in case you wanted that gray. You can also put a white sheet of disposable palette paper under there, or nothing, just depending on your preference. And if you're painting with oil, you can use it on the plastic. Just make sure you're using a plastic palette knife to remove it because a metal palette knife will scrape that up. Or you can go right onto the stained wood. The SoHo Pochade Box comes with a wood palette, and you can show them that.
The other nice thing about the acrylic palette is that when you use acrylic paints on it, you can just peel it off.
Oh, right,
instead of
right. Okay.
having to wash it.
Yeah, that's a good thing to keep in mind. Especially because when you're using acrylics, likely you're going to have a much shorter open time with oils, even if you're using an open acrylic that has some sort of retarder in it. So keep that in mind. So really works great for oils and acrylics alike. If you're using acrylics, whether it's an open acrylic or regular acrylic, you can use it right on top of this plastic palette.
And keep in mind that if you are using acrylic paint, the great thing about the acrylic palette is you can just wait for the paint to dry and then peel it right off. You don't need to worry about cleaning it.
Which is a really great thing, especially when you have dried paint, to just be able to take it off. So along with the physical size of the box, that does also dictate, as we've stated, the size of the canvas, but we've mostly kind of just touched on how large you can go. If you like to paint small, teeny tiny, the Scout box will be able to accommodate much smaller sizes. I have right here, this is a 5x7, and you can just go in and adjust your box to hold those panels in place. And you can work really small, and I know a lot of plein air artists that like that, kind of make little bite-sized pieces of artwork, and it's great because it can go in basically as small as you need. So keep that in mind when you're picking these two boxes. If you like to paint small, teeny tiny, this box will accommodate smaller canvases, where this one will accommodate larger ones. All right, so let's talk about painting angles, right? Now, we've already said that these can be mounted on tripods, and they can work at any varying degree on a tripod. When you're working on a flat surface like a table or maybe on your lap, the options for the larger box are quite wide, where with the smaller one, it's not as wide but very secure. So allow me to show you. There is a hinge right here that allows us to open and close, but there is a sure locking mechanism where you can just flip this down, and that will hold it into place so that you can paint directly onto this. So why don't you show them about the angles that you can paint on with the larger box?
Yeah, so with the original SoHo Pochade box, it actually has the knobs on the side, which you can loosen, and then you can lay it all the way flat. So this is how you would use it to paint with watercolors.
Right, and this is the ideal box for watercolor because of that feature. And when you're using a box this large, you can tilt it to varying angles, but there is that center of gravity thing you have to keep in mind. Yeah. So having the flexibility without having to change the angle of the entirety of the box is really great. Really great feature and benefit of the larger box.
Definitely.
So with all that said, let's talk about what's underneath the palette, the storage space. So why don't we take it with your Pochade box?
Yep. So previously I had put this brush tray on the side. I'm going to close the box, and you'll see that this just easily attaches to the back of the box. It's secured in with magnets. You don't have to worry about holding it a certain way so it doesn't fall off. But let's get this box open. And you can see it has a lovely wooden palette.
You've got your carrying strap, which obviously we're just keeping in here for now, but you can attach to the outside, and then you have a lot of room for supplies, but maybe not as much room as you'd think for a box this size, and there's a reason for that. So let's go ahead and get some of this stuff out of the way so that we can show you a really cool feature of the larger of the two SoHo Pochade boxes.
So on this side over here, you can pull this piece out, and you can see this is where you can store your panels or canvas. You can put 6 dry panels or 2 wet.
If you're using it as a wet canvas carrier, yeah, 2 panels, which is awesome. And this too connects and secures with magnets. And it is adjustable so that depending on the size of the panel that you're using, you can fit, any varying degree of sizes.
And then, of course, don't forget that you can also keep one piece in here, depending on the size that it is, and close the box, and that's kind of a way to...
A wet canvas carrier if you're painting within that dimension that fits in the box. So then again, we close it up, and you are good to go. All right, so now let's look inside the Scout box and see how much we can hold in this. And you can see it's actually holding basically the exact same amount as the larger box. A lot of supplies, tubes of paint, brushes, palette knives, mediums. Again, this carrying strap, brush cleaner, everything fits right and nice and tight inside this box. And you can take it with you wherever you go. So we hope that this comparison side by side helps give you an idea. A lot of people have reached out to Jerry's Artarama asking to do a comparison video because you can see the videos on each of them, but having them side by side
Makes a difference.
makes a difference. All right, so if you're interested in looking at either one of these models, you can check out the links in the description below. Also, if there's something that we didn't cover, be sure to leave your question in the comments and we will be sure to get back to you with the answers. Thanks so much for watching and hope you are painting outside, enjoying yourselves in the bright, beautiful sunlight.